now, a Russian fighter jet striking a U.S. drone, forcing the U.S. to bring down the drone in international waters. That's according to U.S. officials who call the incident a violation of international law. So that happened yesterday. Yep. Welcome to a brand new hour of America's Newsroom. I'm Dana Perino.
How we doing? Nice to see you. Second hour starts now, right? Yes. I'm Bill Hemmer. Good morning. That incident over the Black Sea appears to be the first time since the Cold War that a U.S. aircraft went down after encountering a Russian warplane. Russia denies its aircraft ever hit the drone, which says it should not have even been there. The White House pins the blame on Moscow.
The message that we delivered to the Russian ambassador is that they need to be more careful flying in international airspace near U.S. assets that are, again, flying in completely legal ways, conducting missions in support of our national security interests. They're the ones that need to be more careful.
Senator Tom Cotton stands by with his reaction. First, though, to Mike Tobin, live in Kyiv, Ukraine, for the news of this hour. Mike.
And, Bill, the U.S. has called this incident everything from dangerous to juvenile. It happened yesterday morning about 7 a.m. local time. Two Russian fighter jets, Su-27 fighters, intercepted a U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drone doing what the Pentagon described as routine surveillance in international airspace over the Black Sea. The Pentagon says the fighter jets harassed the drone for about a half hour, buzzing dangerously close in front of the drone. At least one of the fighters dumped fuel on the drone. And the Pentagon says during one of the passes, a Russian fighter struck the propeller of the drone, breaking off a piece. The drone became unmanageable, and the decision was made to ditch that $32 million aircraft in the Black Sea. Now, with tensions high between the U.S. and Russia, even with China, the commandant of the U.S. Marines says this is the kind of thing that could set nations spiraling toward a broader conflict.
Either intentionally or unintentionally, things bumping into each other, causing a collision, and then two great nations, powerful nations, trying to sort it out at 2 in the morning.
Russia has a different take on this incident. The defense ministry says the drone was headed toward Russia with its transponders turned off. Russia says their fighters never struck the drone. The drone crashed, attempting evasive maneuvers.
I want to emphasize that the Russian fighters didn't use their weapons, didn't come into contact with the unmanned aerial vehicle, and they safely returned to their base.
Now, the U.S. agrees that the fighters landed back in Crimea, but says that one of the fighters was indeed damaged. Now, the U.S. does not have warships in the Black Sea. Russia does. The Pentagon is unclear about the ability to recover the drone. And just a short time ago, a Russian official says Russians will indeed attempt to salvage the U.S. aircraft. Guys, back to you.
Mike, we'll see what happens there. Mike Tobin, live in Kyiv. Thank you.
Arkansas Republican Senator Tom Cotton joins us now. He's a member of the Armed Services, Intelligence, and Judiciary Committees and a veteran yourself. Sir, let's just get your reaction to what's happened overnight.
Well, Dana, this is yet another dangerous provocation by Russia brought about by years of President Biden's weakness. And it's not just Russia. We've seen this with other countries as well. China dangerously buzzes our aircraft in the South China Sea. Iran has downed a drone in the Persian Gulf. Russia also dangerously harasses our manned aircraft off the Alaska coast and in the eastern Mediterranean. So President Biden needs to come out and forcefully make it clear that we will not tolerate this kind of provocative action. If we don't put our foot down when Russia downs one of our unmanned aircraft, we will invite Russia or China, Iran to perhaps down one of our manned aircraft. So what can we do? Well, first, they should put up another drone today on the exact same flight pattern in the same airspace to make it clear we will not be intimidated from flying in that airspace. Second, we should return the U.S. Navy back to the Black Sea. President Biden bugged out last year as Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine, but NATO has more Black Sea coastline than Russia does. And third, we should make it clear that we're going to do what we should have done long ago, which is provide Ukraine with the weapons they need to strike Russian rocket and artillery systems across the border that are shooting into Ukraine. Those three steps would send a clear signal to Russia that we will not tolerate this kind of dangerous provocation and avoid further escalation.
Senator, I want to get your reaction to what Russia is saying. They're saying that if they were flying off the coast of California, how would we feel? That was the immediate reaction. And then you had the Russian ambassador in Washington, D.C. say this to the cameras.
I want to emphasize that Russian pilots acted very professionally. There was no contact, no use of any weapons from our fighter jets, and this unmanned aerial vehicle made a sharp turn and crashed in this space. This is a real provocation.
Got that. Senator, you can react to that. And also what John Kirby said earlier today is that there was some imagery that was collected. Remember what a drone does. It can see in the distance. It can see nearby. Would you encourage, I would imagine, the Pentagon to release that video today if indeed it confirms what our suspicions can be?
Well, look, I have no question that Russia is responsible for the downing of this drone. This is exactly the kind of thing that nations like Russia and China and Iran do when they think they can get away with it. Second, we have every reason to have warships in the Black Sea or be flying manned or unmanned aircraft there. We have many NATO allies on the Black Sea coast, Turkey, Romania, and Bulgaria, just being 3 examples. Russia doesn't have allies off of our coast. They have no reason to be enter near American airspace. And as long as we're flying in international airspace in the Black Sea or sailing in international waters in the Black Sea as we have every right to do so. Now, I worry that Joe Biden, who often is scared of his own shadow when Vladimir Putin or Xi Jinping take a provocative action, is going to actually apologize for this by his actions, by refusing to fly drones there. Remember, we've been canceling missile tests that our military has long had scheduled over the last year because they didn't want to be provocative towards Russia. So that's why it's critical that today President Biden make it clear that we will not be deterred from conducting our military operations in international waters and international skies. Otherwise, we're inviting further attacks in the future, perhaps against manned aircraft or our Navy vessels.
Senator, this was I understand, a $32 million drone, right? That's not chump change at all. And I wonder how you, in your words, explain to the American people how our support for Ukraine and our activity in this area is in America's national interest.
I think most Americans recognize that aggressive dictators are not satiated whenever they can invade an innocent country and seize its territory. They usually want more. And what would be more after Ukraine would be NATO partners that we're treaty bound to defend. Furthermore, the greatest threat to our national security is China and the Western Pacific, and especially China's ambitions to invade and annex Taiwan. If we don't stop this Russian aggression in Europe, it will only invite more aggression in the future, create a kind of festering wound in Europe that will expose us to continued commitments in Russia to defend, or in Europe to defend our partners there, when we should be shifting more of our focus and resources to China. So more effort in the short term to help Ukraine defend its territory, to force Vladimir Putin to the negotiating table so Ukraine can get a satisfactory outcome, will create a durable, stable peace in Europe that allows us to focus in the long term on the threat coming from China.
Sir, thank you for your time. Senator Tom Cotton, really feels like we're at the beginning of this aspect of the story. We'll see where it goes, sir. Thank you for your time in Washington today.
Thank you.